Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again for Inspire You. I'm Tina Cosby with the Indianapolis stations of Radio 1 and host of Community Connection, heard every day on AM 1310 and 95.1 FM. Today, we are going to be talking about the 5 things you can do today to better care for yourself. Our guest is Dr. Daniel Pino. Dr. Pino is the Medical Director, Lifestyle Health and Wellness at Eskenazi Health. So Dr. Pino, welcome to Inspire You. Thank you for being here. Before we get started, can you share a little bit about yourself and what you do with our viewers?
Absolutely, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and always love to talk about health and what it means to be at our best. As you mentioned, I am a medical director of Lifestyle Health and Wellness, which means that I help oversee a variety of lifestyle medicine programs that we have at every one of our clinical sites. In addition to that, I'm a primary care doctor at the Eskenazi Health Center, West 38th Street, and have been with our system for about 10 years now.
Yeah. Wow. Well, again, we're glad to have you with us today. We are going to be talking about 5 things. You've narrowed down our conversation to 5 things that we can all do today, right now, to better improve our health. So let's jump right into it and start with number 1, and that is, I guess, annual checkups and screenings.
Yeah, I think that is one of the best places to start. And one of those parts of our general routine care is to just make sure that we're touching base with people that can help us define and understand what it means to be healthy. And as health centers, as well as clinicians, we love to be a part of that conversation and be able to help understand what it means to not only understand your body, but also consider next steps for health.
Yeah. So some of the most important screenings that we can do that we should pay attention to.
First of all is checking in on blood pressure and being aware of if it's on a regular basis elevated. The next one would be, if you're indicated, looking into things like diabetes and your cholesterol levels, but ultimately really having a conversation about your goals for yourself and what it means to be healthy for you, as well as how we can help to find some things that you could be at risk for. Absolutely.
Yeah, and checking and keeping track of the blood pressure is so key, especially in certain populations, minority populations, African-American populations, where we tend to be affected by that condition in greater numbers than others, hypertension.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that we know impacts variety of populations differently, and specifically there's a relationship to not only your socioeconomic status, but also your race, and what it is something that we can be paying attention to.
Yeah. Number 2, something we can do today, move more.
Yeah.
I'm moving. Okay, I'll move.
Yeah, and this is one of those pillars of lifestyle medicine that we like to look at. And in general, we say anything is better than nothing. So if you're at a place in your life that you don't do a lot of movement, starting somewhere is a great beginning point. Overall, if you're thinking about treating things like high blood pressure or considering how to prevent that and prevent diabetes or other chronic conditions, the number you want to kind of gear towards is about 150 minutes a week. But don't let that overwhelm you. First of all, just think about what can I do today? And if that's even standing up and sitting down, that's a great beginning.
Yeah. What do you think about the Apple Watch or the Fitbit or the smart little devices that can prompt you like, oh, you sat too long, time to get up and move, or whatever? What are your thoughts on those?
They're great tools. And if you're someone that struggles to find the next step, that's something that you can look into. They do have a cost to them, and there's something that not everyone can accomplish. And so another good part is maybe have a friend with you, ask a neighbor, ask a family member to be in that space with you and work on that together.
So what's a good range, I guess, in terms of moving more? Something we can start. Do we start slow and get up to a certain level, or do we just have a certain level that we do every day? How should we handle that? How should we manage that?
Anytime you're trying to make a change, first is to ask yourself, what can I do? And it's a SMART goal that we want to set, something that you can achieve, that you can measure, and that you can come back to. Ultimately, if you can get up and move at least once an hour, that's going to help you long term. The goal is going to be about 30 minutes, 5 days a week, if you really want to be active in both preventing and treating chronic disease.
So it's not like we necessarily have to be going 7 days a week and at the gym and all those things. We just manage it at least 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. You could take 2 days off, I guess.
Absolutely. And sometimes we get in our own way if we think we have to be a supreme athlete or really good at it. And ultimately, if you can start being mobile, even a minimum once an hour, but ultimately 30 minutes, 5 days a week, you'll find a long way in both your own health as well as your mental health, because it makes a tremendous impact there as well.
Yeah, we're a society where a lot of people are just kind of plopped in front of computer screens, computers, sitting every day, all day. And I went to a conference on diabetes and how to do better with diabetes. And they had a person who was she was an instructor, and she, one of the things that she insisted at that conference on doing was just chair exercises. She didn't do any standing, moving, whatever. She said, because we sit in chairs so much, and so many of us, whether we're young or old or middle-aged or what have you, we tend to be sitting a lot more. And so her whole presentation was exercises and things that you can do to move more sitting down.
Absolutely. Our bodies are meant to move, and there are times when we have to be stationary for a longer period of time. And there are some actions, even like right now, when we're sitting here, we can be moving our arms and still doing the work that we need to do. And at every age level, it's different. So you may not even be able to stand up as easily as you once were able to, but you can extend your leg and move your leg back. And flexibility is one of those components of physical activity that's important as well.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard this a lot. It has to do with diet. Add one thing, subtract one thing. Can you explain that for us and put it in context for us?
I think that that's one method to kind of look and say, what is something that I can start doing today that'll help my health? And when you look at I love focusing on the things you can add to your input to make it really healthy. And things like fruits and vegetables are options that are really healthy for you. And ultimately, when we look at what you want to remove, if you're going to take a look at anything, I would first start at processed sugars and processed grains. So those packages that we open up, and that gives you a healthy beginning to kind of bring into life something new. But the first step is saying, what can I remove, or what can I add, and what does it look like for me today?
Yeah. The problem with doing that is people think that you're denying yourself of something. The other thing I found out at this conference, and they talked a lot about moderation, not necessarily a hard stop, but moderation, smaller things of that nature. How can we effectively work those ideas into that as well if we're having a hard time, just absolutely stopping certain things?
Yeah. This kind of leans into what I consider as a really important first step is begin with where am I at? What do I eat? And even if you take a step to record for one day what you've been eating, that's a beginning point to understand yourself. And in that context, you can look at that day and ask yourself, do I need this, and does it serve my health well or my goal well for me? And that's when you can begin to pull one of those out or push in something that we can evidence-based show is helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Boy, so much of it is discipline, self-discipline. That's the difficulty. And especially, we're talking about things that we can do today. As of this recording, we are heading into the holiday season, which is a little extra because there's a whole lot more. So modifying around this time, is this the time of year to really start this?
Anytime is a great time.
Anytime is a good time to start.
I can't say that you wouldn't want to. I think it's better to instead, though, pay attention to where you're at right now. And, those moments that you're going to be engaging with family members or situations where you might be around these foods that you feel may not be good for you or impact your health wisely, give yourself grace, right? In this moment, you have to say, I have a goal for myself to be paying attention. And then if you start after the holiday season, that's okay. If you can start today by paying attention only, that's okay too.
Yeah, yeah. The thing about the holiday season is not necessarily foods that are good or bad for you, because there are enough of those. It's just that there's so much of it. There's just such an abundance because everybody wants to have, Thanksgiving and Christmas, you have a whole lot, and people feel the need to say, hey, I got to help you out. I got to eat a lot, but really not necessary.
Absolutely. And I'm going to just pause because I use the word good and bad too. And sometimes if we just look and pay attention to the food, because sometimes when we label it, we get afraid of it. And then also we question what we're doing. And if we can say, I'm eating it because it's accomplishing something with me right now, and then learn about it, it's going to be a really good outcome for you.
Well, this next one is one that I've been made aware of, and I'm learning that it's especially hard for me, and that is establish good sleeping habits. Treat yourself to a good night's sleep. That's hard to do. That's harder than food for me.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone. And, you know, I'm a doctor, right? I'm supposed to be aware of these things. I also struggle with this. And I think as humans, it's one of those things that we have to pay attention to. And it can be difficult. And in the same way that I like to continue saying, start somewhere, even if you just make a bedtime for yourself, it's a good beginning point to help you structure good sleep.
So what are the parameters? What's good sleep? How many hours? Is it better to go to bed early? Let me just how does all that work?
This is one that I always find myself saying, let's not get into any fights about what's right and wrong, but also be aware of these things. So generally we want to say about 7 to 8 hours a night, but every person's different. So what we want to focus on is the behaviors around sleep. Truly, the best first treatment is set a bedtime. We are creatures of habit and we love routine. So if I say I'm going to go to bed at the same time every night, it helps my body remember it's nighttime. And then there's a lot of other things you can do that I'll mention, but don't get caught up on, is temperature matters. And so around 67 degrees, shutting off screens right about an hour before you want to try to go to bed is important. Sometimes it's hard to take that TV out of the bedroom, but it can be really helpful. And then giving yourself a reminder that every night I'm going to be sleeping in that comfortable space. What
about people that say, I can't go to sleep unless the TV's on? Because I'm kind of like one of those people. I mean, I don't see where it bothers. I've heard so many people say that it's not good, shut it off or shut it down. And, you know, like if I shut it, I don't know. It just seems like if you shut it off or shut it down, it's not as good of a night's sleep as it is when it's on, turned all the way. I don't know. Maybe that's just.
I like to just, it's again, I probably have said this, I'm repeating myself, but ask yourself why, right? Ask yourself why you have it on. And if it's a little bit of light that you need, consider a different alternative light. The main thing is that blue light from the TV is reminding our brain it's daytime and it's not helping us sleep. The other thing is, if it's sound that you need, turn the TV off and put in a sound machine or use your phone to bring a sound app to your life, because there's things that you're accomplishing that you can still do in other places.
So there should not be televisions in bedrooms. Is that what you're saying?
It's best for sleep habits if you can remove that out of your space, because not only would you be keeping that light on that makes you think it's daytime, you may also be learning that that bedroom is for watching TV, and we want the bedroom to be for sleeping.
That's good. That's good. And finally, this is another one that a lot of people, especially if you're a parent or just whatever, self-care, taking time to care for yourself, to do something for yourself. How much should we do that? Once a week? Once a month? How should that work?
I would say daily, to be honest.
Daily?
What we need to look at is how am I and what am I doing to support my health? And part of this overlaps with mental health. Even just paying attention to yourself and saying, I'm okay and I'm going to accomplish this today, or giving yourself a breather, a deep breath when things seem stressful, to make sure that you're checking in with yourself is a good opportunity to make sure that you're okay and doing well.
Wow. Wow. And all of these pointers that we've just gone through, they all seem relatively simple, and they do seem like things that anybody could start as of right now. I mean, as of this video right now.
Yeah, and Bree, that's about this. You don't have to go buy anything today to make these changes. If you ask yourself first, why am I doing this? What's my intent? And then choose at least one or two of these to begin, and add or subtract what you're doing well, you'll find yourself at a good place in it. And it sometimes takes a couple weeks to get used to it. And once you're there, you can ask yourself, what more can I add?
Yeah, I was going to say, so how long, if we implement all 5 of these strategies, how long should we look for before we start seeing positive change, if you will?
You know, each thing is different. You can actually start seeing significant change in blood pressure within a week, especially if you cut things out that are fully impacting your blood pressure, like salt, and then increase exercise. You'll see it come down pretty quickly. Ultimately, to maintain those changes, it does take, 3 to 4 weeks to really situate. And then as we start to impact things like our blood work and as well as our chronic disease risk, it takes some time. But if you can consistently do this over time, it will decrease significantly.
I like the word lifestyle because I think it's a lot friendlier and a lot more giving than some of the restrictive terms that we put on some of these behavior modifications. I like lifestyle because truly that is what you're doing. You're adapting to adopting a different lifestyle for yourself as opposed to changing, I guess. I don't know. I like the word lifestyle, though. I think it works.
I like it too, and I'm glad you like it. It's something that when I look at what I do day to day in the clinic, a lot of times we're trying to prevent and treat chronic disease, and it seems like we're trying not to die, and this is an opportunity how to live well.
Indeed, indeed. And so for people that want to find out more about you and these steps and how to better care for themselves, where should they go? What should they do?
First, connect to a primary care doctor. I'm not the only one out there that knows these things. There's a lot of us that really want to pay attention. At Eskenazi Health, we have a great place of everybody being engaged in these type of conversations, and each of our sites has dietitians and health coaches that can walk along these journeys with you. And so if you want to connect with us at Eskenazi Health, you can call our main line, which is 317-880-0000, or you can try to figure it out how to reach us online, and we'd love to take care of you as a person that's seeking good health. And sometimes when we need to get involved with disease management, we will as well.
Indeed. All righty. Well, thank you. And the website?
It's eskenazihealth.edu.
eskenazihealth.edu, and that's open 24/7. Don't have to worry about it. Dr. Daniel Pino, thank you so very much. A lot of good advice. I enjoyed speaking with you. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Everyday life is busy enough without worrying about viruses. But just because you're ignoring flu and COVID doesn't mean they'll ignore you. Right now, Eskenazi Health Center is protecting everyone from 6-month-olds to seniors with safe, updated vaccines that can help keep your family from missing school, missing work, or missing good times. Visit eskenazihealth.edu/vaccines and see how a shot in the arm can take a load off your mind.